Hello, everybody. My name's Mike Till. I'm a technical solutions executive here at Insight, focusing specifically on AWS. Today, we're going to be talking about the journey to AWS Cloud, mainly how to overcome common migration challenges, as well as some of the big drivers as to why you would migrate to AWS and what the benefits of that would be. Again, here's the agenda. Like I said, we're going to talk about on-premises versus cloud. Why would we migrate? Those common migration challenges, some best practices for those positive outcomes that you want, and how Insight can help as a partner of AWS. So let's start right at the beginning. What are some very common on-premises IT challenges? As many of you probably know, a lot of it can be boiled down to these three main items. Difficult to scale. As you know, it's all based on the hardware that you have within your on-premises environment. So if you need to scale quickly, it can be tough because you got to install the hardware in the racks to get what you need. Another issue is aging infrastructure. Every so many years, you got to refresh and make sure you have the latest and greatest and everything is up to date. And then lastly, it can be less reliable. Security threats are changing all the time. You got to make sure you're on top of everything that's going on within that area, as well as making sure that the lights are staying on and the data center doesn't have any issues. So, if power goes out, what do you do? So quickly, what are the top 10 benefits of AWS? I'm not going to go into each and every single one of these with great detail, but there are a few that I would love to touch on. First one being zero commitment. With AWS, it is, pay for what you use. You spin up a virtual machine, you use it, you turn it off, you're only paying for the time it was on. Instant procurement, also great. If you need if you need performance, you need new machines up and running quickly, you need to increase the horsepower of the machines that you have, you can just hop right into AWS, spin them up, and you're off to the races. Highly scalable. Again, you can quickly spin up everything that you need as things kind of come in. And you can have these things scale automatically, so even less intervention by a person, the better. That way you can handle any sort of load and traffic that's coming through right out the gate. It's also extremely secure. AWS has, their data centers completely locked down and securely staffed 24/7, 365. So you can be rest assured that those data centers aren't going down anytime soon. They also have they're the global leader when it comes to the cloud. They have 33 availability zones within 12 regions around the world. So chances are there's a region near your business that you can easily use. And then they do have APIs, lots of APIs for all the services. So if you are big with programming and want to do things programmatically, the APIs are great without even having to go through the console itself. All right, so let's get into what is driving cloud migration. So a lot of the main drivers are going to be around end of support for your hardware. Obviously, if it's not being supported anymore, it's time to look somewhere else and make sure things are running smoothly. License renewal is another big one. We'll talk about that here in a little bit later. Reducing operational and infrastructure costs is another great driver. A lot of the conversations that I have been a part of has all been all around, how do I reduce my costs? And with AWS, you can certainly run things for cheaper. Again, with that pay-as-you-go model that they have. And again, increase operational resiliency. It's easy to have redundancies in place within AWS. It's limitless, so you can have as many, backups and again redundancies in place to make sure things run smoothly in case something were to happen within the environment. All right, so a couple of the business values of AWS. This was taken from a study the Hackett Group did back in 2022, but there's some good percentages here around staff productivity. 66% more virtual machines managed by a VM administrator. when in AWS. Almost a little over 100% more terabytes managed by a storage administrator at AWS. A lot of that speaks to the ease of use within AWS, operational resilience, 69% reduction in unplanned downtime, and 50% reduction in monthly critical incidents. Again, showcasing how easy it is to, be resilient within the cloud. And then a business agility, 29% application developer efficiency, allowing for increased innovation, and 43% reduction in time to market for feature releases. So you can manage more with less and get to market faster. All right, so why migrate to AWS? Again, cost savings and resource optimization is a big one. You're not necessarily going to be, spinning up one for one your machines on premise to AWS. There's a great opportunity to, make sure your resources are sized properly for the jobs that they're doing. Enhanced security, again, AWS is constantly staying up to date with new threats that are out there. A lot of their managed services, are updated automatically, and just making sure that, things are, again, up to date and locked down. Enterprise scale, they have, essentially limitless resources that you can use, way more than any data center that you would probably have within your own organization. So you can scale as wide and as tall as you need to. Improve staff retention and productivity. This one, is pretty straightforward and gets into, a lot of employees want to play with the latest and greatest when it comes to new technologies, and AWS is constantly releasing new services and resources that play right into that, especially when you get into a lot of the AI, machine learning stuff that's out there today, and all that good stuff. And then lastly, agility. Again, you can move quick within AWS. You can just spin up things as you need them. All right, so again, the benefits. These are all taken from a few studies down below. Hackett Group, IDC, sponsored by Amazon, and an Amazon self-study. Real savings, 31% average savings in your monthly bill, because again, you're only paying for what you use. 50% fewer monthly security incidents on average. 69% reduction in unplanned downtime. A lot of the same stuff that we've been talking about previously. And the big one here, support from best-in-class partners. Amazon has a huge ecosystem of partners that they work closely with, Insight being one of them, excuse me. So with AWS and the partner experience that is out there, it makes navigating the cloud and migrating to the cloud something that is not necessarily as difficult or daunting as you might initially think right out the gate if you were to do it by yourself. All right, so here are the big common migration challenges. Licensing. This is a big one. I often find that this is overlooked quite a bit, but licensing is huge. What licenses can I bring to AWS? Microsoft licensing, that kind of thing. There are opportunities to bring those licenses to AWS. Accountability. Once my data is moving into AWS, how can I ensure people are held accountable? Accountability is huge. You want to be aware of what everyone's doing within the environment. Dependencies. Are there specific application dependencies that you need to be aware of when you move the infrastructure to make sure there aren't any issues with runtime? Education is another big one that I feel is overlooked. How do I make sure my workforce is trained and effective at using AWS? With partners like Insight, there's a lot of opportunity to educate the workforce and make sure everything is good to go. Moving data. What is the most effective way to move my data? Do we send it on hard drives? Do we send it through the internet? What makes the most sense for the environment that is being moved, and how do we do it securely and effectively without you know, messing up any day-to-day operations. Again, time, how long is it going to take to complete? Is it a small environment that we can move quickly? Again, is there a lot of dependencies? What is the time frame that we can put around this move to AWS? And again, lastly, security. How do I make sure everything is secure in moving? You don't want, any security incidents when, potentially moving sensitive data and things like that. All right, so let's get into some of the best practices for migrating into AWS. First one, identify and prioritize. What are the business drivers and what is the defined, desired business and technical outcomes for this migration? Understanding what those drivers are will really help frame the migration plan moving forward. And that gets into, have a concise plan. If you don't have a thought out plan, migrations can drag on, costs can increase, and you get stuck with those negative outcomes that you weren't expecting. Being able to do a rapid IT portfolio discovery is great. You need to be able to identify all of the data sources, where the data lives, what you're moving, and there's tools to do the data collection, licensing, those types of things that we'll talk about here in a little bit. Next one, AWS TCO reporting. What is the total cost of ownership when we get these workloads into AWS? You want to know what your monthly bill from AWS is going to be, ideally before you get to AWS. And then lastly, perform a cloud readiness assessment, which we'll talk about here right now. So a cloud readiness assessment is really the first step into the migration process here. This is where you will sit down and run an assessment on your existing infrastructure on premises to understand, all right, what are we using? How much of it are we using? And what would this look like at a high level to bring it to AWS? So that all starts with the OLA, the optimization and licensing assessment, where they will install a tool on the infrastructure and ingest a bunch of the utilization data of the machines, as well as the licensing. And from there, you can understand what a properly sized machine would look like in AWS and whether or not those licenses can move. You're going to scope the workloads, collect the data, analyze it, and then from there, that's where you can, make your business case and start with a proof of concept. So again, before the migration begins, some of the benefits are, this is a great opportunity to right-size your resources. Making sure everything is sized properly is a big part of the potential cost savings that you're looking for when you move to AWS. Licensing, again, Windows Server, SQL, there's a lot of opportunity there to bring your own licenses or, use the Amazon AWS provided licenses. And then, like I said, for SQL. So a lot of opportunity there for potential savings. I see a lot of waste with licensing, especially if you have a large environment. So again, why is that so important? A lot of organizations overlook these cost savings because licensing can be incredibly complicated. There's all these little caveats and, requirements for a license to be applied. We have entire teams here at Insight dedicated to the licensing aspect of these migrations. Another reason things might be overlooked, maybe there was a negative experience with licensing audits run by software vendors. Maybe you don't want third parties assessing your license situation. There's a lot of reasons why organizations could be a little averse to, wanting to take a look at the licensing side. So once you've gone through the OLA and you've put together some rough numbers as to what things would look like running in AWS, that's when you can really dive in and start getting after, the migration and really diving into the weeds around your application dependencies, identifying, very specific, sensitive data, making sure, if certain things need extra care before moving. Yeah, so the AWS migration, the AWS map program is AWS's vehicle for moving workloads to AWS. It consists of 3 different steps. You got your assess phase, which is a lot of the things we've talked about so far today in this presentation. Second step is your mobilize, and then third is migrate. So as you can see, the bulk of the program is around assessing and mobilizing and making sure everything is thought of before you start moving resources to AWS. Again, it's important to have a plan in place and to understand exactly what all the potential pitfalls are and what your costs are going to be once you get into AWS. If you do not have those plans or that data in place, it can be a bit of a bumpy road. So where does Insight fit in with all of this? AWS is a advanced tier partner with AWS today. We will be a premier tier partner here very soon. And what that means is that we are dedicated to working with AWS, and we have shown that we have experience working with AWS, not only in migrations, but also, in building and providing services around AWS in general. So with Insight, we will help you reduce and optimize your IT and AWS costs. We have a lot of architects and badged folks on the team that are, have tons of experience in working within AWS in various situations that might arise. And just, making sure, we're focusing on the hard part while you guys can focus on your day-to-day operations. These are the 6 main areas that Insight really focuses on when it comes to AWS: modern workplace, modern apps, modern infrastructure. Again, making sure everything is modern, streamlined, and up to date. Intelligent edge, data and AI, and cybersecurity. So those are the big key areas that Insight focuses on when it comes to AWS. And we have services that range from consulting, hardware, software, and lifecycle services, managed services, all that stuff. And just as a quick rundown of our expertise in AWS, as you can see, we're an advanced tier services partner with multiple competencies, that being DevOps, security, migration, those domains of expertise that I talked about previously, and tons of architects on staff, professional, associate, and specialty level, with over 200 certified. 5,700 engineers, architects, and tech field consultants, and over 4,000 projects delivered per year. So at the end of the day, Insight has lots and lots and lots of experience doing these types of migrations and just working within AWS overall. So when you are thinking about moving to AWS, Insight can help plan and prepare you and take you from cradle to the grave for all of your AWS needs and experience. So we're here to support you through your journey. Whether it's through the assessment, implement, innovate, manage, and optimize, we get you covered. And that about wraps it up. My name again is Mike Till, Technical Solution Executive here with AWS. There's my email, my LinkedIn. Connect with me there. Thanks for tuning in, and I hope to hear from you soon.